Um, all right, welcome everyone to Business Sales Consulting Firm. And tonight we have our monthly Meet the Experts, and we have April Hibler with the SBA. She's going to present on government contracting and some of the opportunities that they have for entrepreneurs, as well as I believe you also give us some updates on what's going on currently. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put it in the chat box and we'll make sure we get you the correct and accurate information. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it to April.
Okay, thank you. Today I will be presenting on capturing the federal government opportunities and the 4 steps to entering the federal marketplace. And I'll be giving you all an overview of who the SBA is, our general programs, but also just the steps, the quick steps of how to get into the federal marketplace. And if you all have any questions along the way, let me know. So the 4 steps we'll be looking at is how to self-certify that you're a small business. Does the federal government buy what you sell? Is it for you in marketing your business to the government? So the first thing we're going to go over right now is who is the SBA? So who is the SBA and what do we do overall? So the United States Small Business Administration is an independent agency of the United States government that provides support to entrepreneurs and small businesses. The mission of the Small Business Administration is to maintain and strengthen the nation's economy by enabling the establishment and viability of small businesses and by assisting in the economic recovery of communities after disasters. The agency's activities has been summarized as the 3 C's of capital, contracts, and counseling. In regard to capital, the SBA loans are made through banks, credit unions, and other lenders who partner with the SBA. The SBA provides a government-backed guarantee on part of the loan of up to on part of the loan. Under the Recovery Act and the Small Business Jobs Act, SBA loans were enhanced to provide up to 90% guarantee in order to strengthen access to capital for small businesses. In regards to contracts, that's the 2nd C. The federal government wants to do business with small businesses. Thus, the SBA helps lead the federal government's effort to deliver 23% of prime federal contracts to small businesses. Small business contracting programs include efforts to ensure that sorry, I've lost my place here. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry when somebody came in. Place that certain federal contracts reach women-owned and services-able veteran-owned small businesses, as well as small businesses participating in our 8A business development program and Hub Zone. And in regards to the 3rd C, which is counseling, the SBA has at least 1 office in each U.S. state. In this state, it's the Nebraska Business Development Center. In addition, the agency provides grants to support counseling partners, including approximately 900 small business development centers. Again, it's the Nebraska Business Development Center here, and 110 women business centers, which is in this state is Grow Nebraska Women's Business Center and SCORE. These counseling services provide services to over 1 million entrepreneurs and small business owners annually. Okay. Okay. So why Is it relevant to what we're doing, kind of what the SBA does? It's because the federal government small business programs are, again, provided in statute. Well, let me just jump past that. I will say just directly, of all the businesses in the United States, about 99% of them are small businesses. Although the number of small firms eclipses that of large firms, the bulk of federal dollars are given to other than small businesses, because small businesses make up a significant portion of our nation's economy. Ensuring their continued success is a priority for the federal government. Consequently, Congress established several policies and programs to provide small businesses with assistance and guidance they need to establish, preserve, and strengthen their operations. By establishing these policies and programs, the government assists small businesses by providing aid, counsel, assistance, and protection, providing maximum practical opportunities for small businesses and government acquisitions, and preserving and expanding market competition, helping to secure our nation's continued economic viability and well-being and viability of small businesses. Okay, the United States federal government is the largest purchaser of goods and services in the world, with estimated purchases between $500 to $700 billion annually. The overall goal of federal contract awards to small businesses is 23%. Are y'all still hearing me? Okay, I'm talking to my phone. Okay, it's 23%, which is spread across the federal agencies. The SBA is responsible for ensuring that government-wide goals for participation of small businesses is established annually, and the reporting agency's achievements are relative to the goals. The SBA assigns individual small business goals to each agency based on several factors, including the size of the agency, the anticipated number and dollar values of total contract awards, and past contracting achievement goals and levels. In addition to the overall small business contracting goal, the SBA also negotiates specific goals for certain small business categories. As you see in front of you, it's going to be for service disabled businesses, it's 12%. That is inclusive of our 8A program. The Woman-Owned Small Business Program is 5%. The Hub Zone program is 3%, and Service Disabled Veteran-Owned is 3% as well. And in small business in general is 23%, as I said before. So when looking at what Nebraska did last year in terms of contract dollars, as you can see, we had about $1.3 billion we did about $1.3 billion in contracts, federal contracts, which is good. And we exceeded in every category except for our woman-owned small business category. So we are doing more rigorous marketing and more rigorous outreach and supporting our certified woman-owned small businesses a bit more to increase those numbers so they can reach the goal. So the next thing we're going to look at is how to self-certify that you are a small business. So I don't really want to go through all of this law with you all, but because I don't want to bore you with all the law. But the Code of Federal Regulations deals with the contracting programs for small businesses and all socio-economic programs, and the Federal Acquisitions Regulation is how contracting officers buy. But that the FAR Part 19 is the most important because it's the small business programs and it shows you the contract clauses and everything. Now, once you get into it, we can get you connected to Apex accelerators, and but this is can help you navigate this body of law. But these are the laws that govern the contracting, the social economic contracting programming. Now, we want to look at how to your NAICS code. So now that we have discussed who the SBA is and the importance of including small businesses in federal procurement, let's look at what makes a business small. The SBA defines a small business as one that is a for-profit company that is independently owned and operated, has a place of business inside the United States, thereby contributing to the United States economy and labor force, and is not dominant in its field on a national basis. and conforms to industry-specific size standards as set forth in 13 CFR Part 121. That's, we're not going to get into the details of the law, but the first thing you have to do is identify your NAICS code, and you can do that there. The NAICS code is your primary NAICS code is the source of most of your revenue with affiliates, and then you can also have secondary NAICS codes. So that's we can help you identify what your NAICS code is, but also the Apex accelerators can meet with you to help you identify your proper NAICS code. It's a 6-digit code that is very critical that you identify the correct one for your business, because that is, how contracting officers will, you identify what contracts you'll get based on your NAICS code. So in addition to that, in addition to your NAICS code, a part of that is, like I mentioned before, it needs to conform to industry-specific size standards. The SBA measures the size of small businesses according to the number of employees averaged over 12 months or the average annual receipts over 5 years. Businesses that meet these criteria are considered small businesses and are eligible for federal programs that promote small business participation in government acquisition. In addition to these, the size standards that are required here, the standard definition of small businesses, the SBA defines several other specific categories. These small business types are the ones we kind of looked at before, the disadvantaged businesses, the hub zone, the woman-owned small businesses, and the service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. In addition to the standard criteria that define small businesses, each of those small business categories must meet additional specific criteria, which you will see later in the presentation. So again, I'm going to provide all these links to you all. I'll give them to Deborah to provide to you all. You all can email me, and I can give you the links to all the links that are being referenced in this presentation. So, but this is the link that you would go to identify, once you have your NAICS code, to identify if it meets your size standards. It meets the size standards based on the NAICS code and the things we discussed. So, like we said, SBA uses this to identify if you're small. And this is also to make sure we're leveling the playing field, and contracting officers use it to classify procurements for services as full and open or as set aside. The next thing we're going to look at to see is, does the federal government buy what you sell? Okay, so this part is extremely important right here. Before you even think to get into government contracting, this research is necessary. Once you identify your NAICS code, you need to look to see, based on that NAICS code, what agencies have purchased in your geographical capacity and for what services and products. You need to go to usspending.gov to identify that. And to look at the current needs of the government, you can go to sam.gov, see what their present needs are. And to look at future acquisitions, what they're planning to purchase, you need to go to acquisitions.gov. Apex accelerators can help you with this market research, but it's critical that you do this market research before you pursue any certification or even to do business with the government, because you need to identify which agency buys what you sell, and do they do it in the kind of contract you would like it to be done, and also with the frequency that you want to be able to sell. So you just need to do that research just to make sure you have a customer. And we, of course, want you to at least have 3 agencies that you've identified, but I'll go over that later on. But you at least need to know that you have at least 3 agencies that buy what you sell. So this market research is critical. So how does the government buy? Agencies must automatically set aside acquisitions above the micro purchase threshold and below the simplified acquisition threshold. If an agency does not do this, they must document the reason why. Currently, the micro purchase threshold is $10,000 and the simplified acquisition threshold is $250,000. A micro purchase is an acquisition of supplies or services using simplified acquisition procedures, where competition is not necessarily required. The threshold for these kind of acquisitions is $2,000 for construction, $2,500 for services, and $10,000 for most goods. The default micro purchase limit is $10,000 in aggregate across like items before small purchase procedures kick in. Once the small purchase limit is reached, then 3 documented quotes are required for each purchase. The government usually makes these purchases with a credit card. So this is significant. If you want to be able to take advantage of this, you need to make sure your business can take credit cards payment. Okay. As required by the Small Business Act, contract actions between $15,000 and $25,000, the agency must display a notice or copy of solicitation in a public place or by an electronic posting accessible by the public to ensure small businesses have fair opportunity to respond to the solicitation. The agency should provide as much advance notice as possible. The agency, at a minimum, must post the information no later than the issue date of the solicitation and keep the posting active for at least 10 days or until opening quotations, whichever is later. And contract actions above $25,000, or just contracts above $25,000, must be publicized to contract opportunities in SAM.gov at least 15 days before issuing the solicitation. And for acquisitions above $250,000, the procurement may be set aside for small businesses if the rule of 2 is met. The rule of 2 requires a reasonable expectation that at least 2 responsible small business concerns that are competitive in terms of fair market prices, quality, and delivery will compete. Accordingly, the agency must first consider the small business social economic programs before considering a general small business set aside, unless already in the 8A program. So the next thing we're going to look at is it for you? Okay. Organizations that wish to do business with the federal government must first complete an entity registration at SAM.gov. And you must do this because it's mandatory to bid on federal contracts. It's a means for electronic payment, and it provides you with your unique entity identification number and includes your representation and certifications as a small business, and then you need to update it annually. So this page needs to be complete. Additionally, small businesses may also provide information that populates small business, the SBA's dynamic small business search. So both SAM.gov and the dynamic small business search pages allows agency procurements and acquisition teams to search for small businesses based on criteria, including social economic factors, SAM, unique ID codes, cage numbers, PCS numbers, or NAICS codes, company name and location. I cannot emphasize enough, when you register to be a small business in SAM.gov and your account populates, you set up your account on your DSBS page, make sure it is complete, because I see a lot of people who don't even put past performance, nothing. I mean, they just have their address there sometimes. It's critical that this page is complete, because this is how contracting officers find you. It's almost like your online resume for contracting. So it's very critical that this page is complete, and Apex Accelerators, which you'll see their information at the end, can also help assist you in putting this page together in a way that is very that is complete, but also marketed in a way that can attract contracting officers to contact you. So when looking at the federal acquisition programs, self-certification and SBA certification programming, you can self-certify to be a small business in SAM.gov. However, you must come through the SBA certification process if you want to certify to be a HubZone certified firm, service-disabled veteran, woman-owned small business, or a 8A firm. So Section 8 of the Small Business Act established a program that allows the SBA to enter contracts with other agencies and award subcontracts for performing those contracts to firms eligible for program participation. This program is the 8A Business Development Program. The 8A program provides business development support, helping eligible small disadvantaged businesses compete in the marketplace. The government aims to award at least 12% of federal contracting dollars to qualified small disadvantaged businesses, 8A firms, every year. So to be able to get into this program, you must be a small business, as outlined earlier in the presentation, not have previously participated in the 8A program, be at least 51% owned and controlled by U.S. citizens who are socially and economically disadvantaged, have a personal net worth. I don't need to read all this to you all, but I mean, have a personal net worth of $850,000 or less, adjusted gross income of $400,000 or less, and assets totaling $6.5 million, demonstrate good character, and demonstrate the potential for success by having been in a business for 2 years and have earned some revenue. So there's this change that has taken place with the 8A program is that initially certain groups, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, were initially presumed to be disadvantaged, and they automatically met the social disadvantage categories. But now that at this time that is no longer the case, they have to prove social disadvantage. Everybody has to prove social disadvantage by submitting a social disadvantage narrative. So, so that's what you have to do now to qualify. All groups have to submit a social disadvantage narrative to the SBA and to qualify. And it has to be approved. So, okay. So when we're looking at the woman-owned small business category, SBA has determined that a total of 759 NAICS code industries are eligible for federal contracting under the woman-owned small business program. This includes 113 NAICS code industries in which economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses are underrepresented, meaning contracting officers can make economically disadvantaged women-owned small business set aside and sole source awards in these industries, and 646 NAICS code industries in which women-owned small businesses are substantially underrepresented, meaning contracting officers can make women-owned small business set aside and sole source awards in these industries. Economically disadvantaged women-owned small business concerns are eligible to be considered for both woman-owned small business and economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business set aside and sole source awards for all 759 NAICS code industries. And this program obviously was put in place to help level the playing field, and it's designed to help women-owned small businesses gain capacity and growth. So how do you qualify to get to be a woman-owned small business? You need to be a small business according to the SBA size standards that I outlined earlier, be at least 51% owned and controlled by women who are U.S. citizens, have women manage day-to-day operations, and also make long-term decisions. I always emphasize this here. The woman cannot be just a figurehead, like her husband is getting her to start the business. And I mean, he's really running it, but he's just wanting her to get the certification so he can get access, or a man, partner, whatever, is doing that. To get access to these set-aside and sole source contracts through this business, the woman has to actually own and control the business, 51% or more. So that is serious. We need to make sure that we emphasize that, and because the SBA does look into that. Now, in order to be an economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business, you need to meet the same economic criteria that you need to meet in the 8A program. So I don't have to read that. It's outlined here. It's the same criteria. So the government, for HubZone, our HubZone program, the government aims to award at least 3% of federal contracting dollars to HubZone certified small businesses every year. And HubZone is a historically underutilized business zone where the government is looking to foster economic activity, such as job creation. Of all the small business programs, it is the only program not focused on the ownership of the business, but rather on the location of the business and its employees. A hub zone small business is in a qualified low-income rural or urban community with at least 35% of its employees living in a hub zone. Hub zone small businesses are 51% owned and operated by a U.S. citizen or an agricultural cooperative, an Indian tribe, or a community development corporation. And there's other qualifying areas too. So the 35%, the employees need to live in a hub zone, they don't have to live in the same hub zone as the business. And in this particular case, we would say for those of you who are tuning in from Omaha, so the hub zone areas probably would be more like North and South Omaha, those areas that have pockets that are economically distressed. So that's just to give you an idea of where it would be. So the government aims, as far as our veteran small business certification, the government aims to award at least 3% of federal contracting dollars to veteran-owned small firms every year. And more specifically, a services-able veteran-owned small business is 51% owned, as well as veteran-owned small businesses, 51% owned and operated by one or more veterans. And if they're services-able, they must have a VA-approved service-connected disability. As with any general rule, there are exceptions. Notably, the Department of Veteran Affairs, under the Veterans First Contracting Program, must set aside contracts for veteran-owned small businesses and services-able veteran-owned small businesses, regardless of these thresholds. For acquisitions below $5 million, the VA may use non-competitive procedures such as directed sole source awards to award to a veteran-owned small business and a services-able veteran-owned small business. So that's pretty significant that they can, with the VA, you can get a sole source contract. They can give up to $5 million. So that's pretty significant. So yeah, and the VA is very serious about doing business with veterans. So if you're a veteran, please, that wants to be certified, definitely contact us to go through that, to learn about that program a little bit more. So, yeah. And now we're going to look at marketing your business. So we now see how when you're, you've gone through all of these things, you've done the research, you did everything, but this is a part of, well, actually, this is a part of your market research in addition to, you're qualified. I'm 51% of the business. I'm a woman-owned small business. I have 51%. I want to control it. I'm thinking about doing this. I meet the NAICS codes. My NAICS codes is one of the 759, just hypothetically. Now you need to look at those sites that I told you to look at, usaspending.gov, sam.gov, and acquisitions.gov to make sure that the government is buying what you're selling. And then you need to make sure that you are business ready. Many people are looking at, I'm procurement ready, but you need to make sure you're business ready. So how does selling to the government fit in your overall business strategy? What are your core competencies? What agencies need what you provide? What sets you apart from competition? What are you willing and able to devote resources to win government contracts? That's significant. Many businesses some of the small businesses only have one person in the business. You have to have a business with employees. You have to have somebody who's doing business development. While you're working on the business, somebody is working in the business. So that's critical to ensure you're able to tap into government contracts. What is your output? What products or items do you make? What products or items are you capable of making? And how can you use the same equipment and processes to make the things the government needs and wants? Do you need more equipment? Does your current equipment, is it enough to produce the quantity that the government needs within the time frame they need it? So you need to know these things going into before you get into contracting. And again, is the time right for you? That goes back to what I said before. Have you done market research? That goes back to those 3 sites. That's critical. You must do that. What size of contract have you handled? Can you prime or should you be a subcontractor? We always recommend before you get into government federal contracting that you do some city contracts some state contracts, some commercial contracts to kind of build up some past performance for sure. And know that so you can be clear about what size contract you can handle. And we usually recommend for those new to federal contracting that you come in as a subcontractor. So you can, and because that also gives you past performance and also allows you to, deliver while still learning and kind of mitigating risk a little bit. So, and then we recommend that you look for strategic partners and mentors, teaming on larger contracts. And this is significant. How far can you travel and make a profit? I mean, if you can only do business in Nebraska, that means you have to really get your marketing together in terms of understanding you need to really build up strong relationships with the agencies in this state. But if we recommend that you be able to travel 500 miles or more to do work. The more work you can do in other states, the more opportunity you'll have, obviously, because this is the federal government. They do work all around the world, not just in Nebraska. So that's something that you need to definitely look at. And what sets you apart from the competition? The competition within the federal market, not just competition in the city or the state. I mean, in competition within the contracting market. So you need to really understand that. Look at who's had the contract before you, and see why should the government not use them and now use you. You need to be able to explain that to them. What sets you apart from the vendors they've already been using. That's something you must know. And you need to prepare a quality capability statement. This is very significant. Again, like the DSBS page, I see capability statements, no past performance on them. Just you have to have a complete capability statement when you go to meet the buyers conferences, or even when you're introducing yourself to an agency or small business specialist, and to ask them to maybe meet with you or just to do a capability briefing. It's your capability statements that you are presenting to them. And so you want to make sure your capability statement is intact and very well put together. Apex Accelerators can help you with that, as well as making sure your DSBS page is well put together. So as far as your SBA Nebraska contacts, Lisa Tedesco and myself, April Hibbler, are your contacts here. So you can definitely reach out to us anytime to set up a small business counseling session so we can go over your business and understand your needs and refer you to government contracting resources and SBA general resources if needed. This is Apex Accelerators. These are the consultants in the state of Nebraska. We also can do direct referrals to them on your behalf, or you can reach out to them directly. I like to speak to businesses before connecting them here to make sure that we are getting them connected to the right resources, even within the Apex Accelerators that they need. Some people want to do a certification, but really what you need is market research first, or even NAICS code identification assistance. But Apex Accelerators help with the whole gamut of contracting. I mean, from, like I said, NAICS code identification, market research, capability statement assistance, DSBS page, bid matching. They help help you research and identify bids based on your NAICS code. They can help you put together a market research report. My goodness, they can help with proposal development and debriefings, and they can help you from A to Z, really. And they are there and look forward to helping you. So, and they do also, and this is the thing that I just love about them, all those certifications that I went over, they help with that whole application process. I strongly recommend nobody submits an application without running it past their a certification application, one of those certification applications, without running it past their Apex Accelerator consultant to make sure all the paperwork is in place, because you don't want to be held up in the process because some document was missing or whatever. So they help with that, and then there's a lot of meet the buyers meetings they put on. And we also send you, once you get connected to SBA as well, we will definitely send you meet the buyers conferences and meetings to get you in front of these agencies as much as possible. So that's what I have for you all today. If you, oops, there it is. I'll just leave it there. If you all have any questions, anybody here has any questions, let me know.
Well, thank you so much, April, for this wonderful presentation. Does anyone have any questions? I'm trying to monitor the YouTube. I haven't seen any questions so far, and this is not on Facebook, so it's just YouTube.
Yeah.
But if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us via Facebook or LinkedIn or even YouTube, and we will make sure to get you some answers. And April is always available. And can you go back to that slide? I think you had your email address on there. Yes.
Yeah.
And those are her contact information. Shante, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. If there are no questions, then thank you so much once again, April, for making yourself available. And then, well, I wish you all good night and hope to see you next month. We have our monthly meeting. It will be on November 16th. It's a Monday, and we will be with the Metro Transit, Dr. Alicia, and then oh gosh, I forgot her name, but they'll be presenting on the DBE certification and all the opportunities that they have available for small businesses. And then on December 11, we will be back with the IRS. If you remember, we started with the IRS, and we'll be back with them on December 11th. So don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we're glad to have you here. Have a good night. Thank you, April.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Shante. Bye-bye.